resellers, it's time again for some supersize sales. The sales in this video are from my Facebook group where we have a dedicated thread every month, so make sure you are posting your $100 and over sales in the right place so I can find them to make these videos. Also make sure the photos are big enough. I'm having to leave out some really good sales because the images are just too small. So if you're posting from your phone, click through to the actual sold listing, not just the notification, and get to that listing where it has the big photo. And you can use a screenshot of that. Pretty sure that's what's happening. People just aren't clicking through far enough to get to the bigger photo. So you can watch this video and look at the posts for a guide on what size photos to use, or do it from your desktop where you see the actual listing and it's a big photo. The sales in this video are from February 2025. Okay, let's get started. Tamron McClure, bought for $2 at a thrift store, sold in a year for a full asking price of $105. Country Artist Butterfly Fairies Bed of Roses. Looks like this is a ceramic piece, 3.5 inches across. $2, sold for $105. Janine Joyce. So this was crazy. I found this Ed Hardy sweatshirt at Goodwill for $4.99. Had it listed for about 6 months at $109 plus shipping. I got a message one night from a buyer asking, "What is your best price?" I immediately replied and said, "How about $80?" Within seconds, I got a cha-ching. A few minutes later, I headed to my computer to go ahead and print the label and get it ready to ship in the morning. I always fill out my sales spreadsheet when I print labels, so I was surprised and confused to see it sold for the full price of $109. It had been purchased by a different buyer for the full price just seconds after I sent the $80 offer. After sitting for 6 months, I thought I might hear from the first buyer, but I never did. Okay, wow. I wonder if that's something with the algorithm. Who knows? But the item is an Ed Hardy hoodie with a faux fur hood. And she paid $5 for it. It sold for $109.99. Next up is Jomira, who was recently on the podcast talking about her eBay business. She said, "Thankful for this sale for February is a little bit low in sales. Free curbside pickup found on my way home from work together with other stuff. Sold for an offer of $110 plus shipping within a week of listing." And that is a bargain for somebody. I have a Vitamix. I've had it for probably 5 years. I love it. I use it multiple times a day for all kinds of different things. It is my favorite kitchen appliance. So this is a Vitamix with the model number there, variable 10-speed blender food processor. And these are like $300, but they do last forever. So she found this free on the curb and it sold for $110 within a week. I love that. And this is a really high quality item. Somebody got a bargain on that. Monica Lima found this signed Japanese Ikebana vase at Goodwill for $9.99. I really didn't know much about it. I just thought it was a cool design and well made. I did a little research and listed it for $110. It sold in a week. So it's like this curvy thing. It almost looks like a pipe. Vintage, hard to find, Ikebana, Japan, Seto black triple tube pottery vase. $10 and it sold for $110. Nice return on investment there. Okay, Wendy Kruger. Paid $20 at a thrift store, sold for $120 plus international shipping in 2 years and 2 months. So this is one of those items that requires patience. You just never know when the right buyer is going to come along. So remember, everything eventually sells. You just have to be patient. This is a Lulu Guinness Chinese knitting handbag, embroidered black and white satin. Very striking and beautiful item. 20 bucks and sold for 120 in 2 years. Okay, yeah, that took a while, but where else can you do that that's legal? Invest $20 in something and walk away with $120 in 24 months. So that is a win in my book. Okay, speaking of books, we've got Eileen, the book lady, selling something that is not a book. Laura Ashley full-size sheet set. She paid $37.20 for this at an online auction, sold within 2 hours for $125 plus shipping. So yes, those vintage sheets, especially new in the package, are hot sellers. Maybe other sellers might not have paid the almost $40 for this, but she flipped it for over 3 times her investment, so another win. Next up is Carla City. Sold the DMC floss that I asked about last month. Paid about $10 for the whole lot. Tried doing an auction, then did a buy it now for $125. Yesterday I got an offer for $50. I countered saying I would take no less than $100. So they countered with $75. But before I could answer, the lot sold for full asking price plus shipping to someone else. Again, thanks for all the help. So yes, Carla put a post on the group asking how to sell this, and I have sold some of these in my eBay career, so I knew for the amount she had, she could get around 100, and others also chimed in on that. So again, the strength is in numbers in these groups when you have a lot of people that you can ask questions to. So here is the item, $10 for all of this DMC embroidery floss, and she sold it for $125. Barbara Knight bought at Savers half price yesterday for $5. Had a water line stain down one edge that did not wash out. Listed it this morning for $125, and before I got to the gym, it sold for full price. Handmade applique quilt with Scotty dogs, machine stitched. $5 and sold for $125, and it was imperfect slash damaged. So when this happens to you, list it anyway, disclose the damage, or as I like to say, imperfection. That's a friendlier word than damage, and see what happens. Bill Hunt got these boxes of American history cards at a yard sale. Paid $5 total for all 3 boxes. These cards will sell individually but need to move inventory right now. Another reseller bought these, and from looking at his store, he'll be doing just that. I wish him lots of luck. They sold for $127.44 within 24 hours. $5 investment. Grolier Story of America cards, huge lot, 3 boxes, homeschooling. So hey, good decision, Bill. You made your money, moved the item out, and made another reseller happy. Everybody wins. Lisa Corcoran found this nondescript box tucked in a corner on a shelf of housewares in the Goodwill. Vintage Dresden china nameplates for the dining table. Paid $4.99. I cleaned them up and listed last April, so almost a year. Sold for $129.99 plus shipping. And those are quite unusual 12 vintage Dresden porcelain hand-painted floral table nameplates. Beautiful item and unusual. And what'd she say she paid? $5 and they sold for just under $130. Diane Stumpf. I probably paid too much for these vintage Inuit dolls, but I couldn't pass them up. I bought a lot of 5 for $125, so $25 each. I struggled with how much to list them for and started out very high and have been lowering them a little over time. After 2 years, I finally found a buyer. They purchased one from me for $75 and then came back and bought this one for $144.49, which was my full listing price. 3 more to go, but at least I've made my money back and then some. Whew! Vintage Inuit Alaska Eskimo native doll with fur, hide, and a wood carved face. Very unusual item. $25, sold for just under $150. Lane Hamilton. I bought this at the thrift store for $25. I had it posted for about a month for $195 and took an offer of $150 to move it out. New Bogner jackets can sell for $2,300. This one was in excellent condition, but I want to get rid of all clothing, so I took the offer. Vintage 90s Bogner Christiana red ski jacket with genuine fur hood. $25, sold for $150. Sherry Lynn picked up these Spode teacups and saucers for $5 per set at the Sally Ann. It took about a month, but I sold them for full asking price of $150 plus shipping. Spode and Copeland Spode are great sellers, so definitely a BOLO. And there you can see how she has them displayed so nicely. Vintage Spode England Blue Italian Jumbo Teacup and Saucer set of 4, $5, and they sold for $150 Canadian. Elena Blanco bought this beautiful piece for $17 at a local auction. There were a few other pieces in the lot which aren't worth much. It sold within a week for $157.50 plus shipping. Meiselman Bassano made in Italy fruit birds basket. And this looks like it's porcelain. $17, sold for $157.50. Joy Folken, so excited to wake up to this sale this morning. Found this beautiful Johnny Was crushed velvet top at my local small town thrift last fall when they first put out the fall clothes for the season. Paid $3.21 standard blouse price. Took nearly 4 months to sell and sold on my store's 40% off sale for $161.40. I had it listed high because of my virtual lister, but was regularly putting it on a heavy discount and sending heavier offers. So excited to see this return on a clothing item. Johnny Was, size 2X, gray, long sleeve, crushed velvet V-neck embroidered silk top. And that is a great return on investment. I love that brand. Lori Knowles, who was recently on the podcast, and she mentioned this very item. Vintage men's long smoking jacket silk robe. Paid $5.99 at Goodwill, sold for $189. So it took a few months, but a beautiful item, and she mentioned that these do sell for great money. Catherine Racine. I could not believe my luck when I woke up last Sunday and saw this set of 3 Mackenzie Childs canisters listed on Facebook Marketplace for $10. I immediately offered to Venmo her for them and then went out as soon as my husband woke up in a snowstorm to pick them up. So he went out in the snowstorm. I don't think he woke up in the snowstorm. Unfortunately, one of them was damaged, but I still listed it high at $220 since there were no other full sets of 3 listed. I took an offer of $190 last night after several offers of $150 over the past 4 days. In and out is my motto. So you can see there, Mackenzie Childs Royal Check 3-piece canister set, blue, white, small, medium, large, and she's got read on there, meaning she wanted to explain the damage. So here we have another imperfect item that's sold for great money. Rosanna Smoker. I found this Ralph Lauren duvet cover at a garage sale for $10. I priced it high and sent out quite a few offers. I had it listed about 4 months when I got an offer for $190 plus shipping. Very happy with the sale. Ralph Lauren duvet cover queen skating party tartan plaid. $10 sold for $190. Roshina Ward. I picked up the sculpture for around $7 at a Goodwill a couple of years ago. There weren't any comps at the time, so I listed it at $199 to see what would happen. Sent a few offers here and there, but mostly enjoyed having it in my home decor. It finally sold for full price plus shipping at the tail end of January. Modern art sculpture by Global Views, gymnast with rings, metal statue. $7 sold for $199. And here we have yet another imperfect item. Blake Helms, bins. $2 plus a $9 battery to test. Unfortunately, the screen was broken, but it sold within hours for full asking price plus shipping. Canon PowerShot, model number SX720, cracked screen. So total investment of $11, and it sold for $200. And here we have our cover item, Diane Stumpf. Last time I ever do this, I paid $20 for this solid cement mushroom yard art. Don't ask me what I was thinking. I listed it just under a year ago for $259.99. It sold in February in the middle of a snowstorm for best offer of $204 plus shipping. It was so heavy, but my nephew helped me and we got it safely to its new home. Probably the hardest $200 I've ever made in my life. Vintage concrete mushroom sculpture garden yard art, 14 inches tall. And I did the same thing, Diane. I bought a mushroom thing and it was so extremely heavy. And I thought, oh, this is totally not worth it. It must have weighed 30 pounds. But mushrooms are hot. People want them. That's a trending thing right now, so I don't blame you. And this is very cute and appealing. That would just be really cute for like a fairy garden, a gnome garden, whatever. But not a bad flip. $20 sold for 204. But yeah, you learned the lesson about shipping heavy things. George Kelly bought this Omega automatic watch at a conducted estate sale for $20. It was missing the winding knob. Sold at auction for $227.50. Omega is a good brand to look for. Found it the last day of the sale, 10 minutes before they closed. It always amazes me what we can find. Vintage Omega Gentleman's Automatic Wristwatch, stainless, working but needs work. $20 sold for $227.50. Zandra Ritter paid $4 at a thrift store, sold on promotion for $256, shipped to Phoenix, Arizona. It is a Phoenix Suns 14 karat gold charm NBA jewelry. $4 sold for $256. That's including shipping. Andrew Silveroli saw this sitting on the shelf at Savers and grabbed it because older Cartoon Network items typically do well for me. When I got around to looking through it and researching, I was shocked at the scarcity of these and the price they can command. It turned out to be a style guide for the show with all the specific design information and two accompanying CDs. I guess they were given for a company to create character designs to submit for merchandise and other things. I bought it for $3.18. I was asking $320 and it ended up settling at $250 with a buyer after 2 months. So it is a Dexter's Laboratory book and looks like it was a special listing because he has that blocked out to protect the buyer's identity. $3.18 sold for $250. And here we have our garbage man philosopher, Zach McDore. I rescued this 36-inch blow mold from the trash. He hung in my window during Christmas, and then I listed it once I finally found a big enough box. 7-day auction. Vintage Empire blow mold Santa face Christmas 36-inch lights up. $257, and you can see there it had 14 bids. The number of bids is an indication of demand. Even if it's just two people, the more bids, the more in demand an item is. So if you are auctioning something, that's a tip for you. Look at the research, and if something's sold on auction and it's within that 90 days where you can look at the listing, or it should be on eBay research anyway, the number of bids, and you can actually go deeper and see how many different bidders there were. And so that will help you decide if you should do an auction or not. But the more bids, the more in demand an item is. So this was a trash find and it sold for $257. Diana Warren, starting February off nicely. This actually sold on January 31st. Purchased these at an estate sale this past summer for $15. Took about 7 months to sell for $262.49 during a 25% off sale. Reed and Barton Louis Philippe 90-piece stainless flatware set. That's a lot of pieces, 90. So $15 and sold for $262.49. Kim Smith. I found this at Goodwill in December. I paid $9.99. It was hanging with the winter coats. My biggest sale in a while. After a Google search, I saw this was worn on a TV show several years ago. I included that information in the listing. St. John Collection, size 6, yellow and black, tweed jacket blazer. Beautiful. And that looks like an Emily Gilmore type of wardrobe piece. Who knows? If you're watching, Kim, let us know what TV show that was. I'm just always interested to know that. Okay, Ginger Lampright. I'm going to rename her the Seat Lady because she's been selling bicycle seats, and now we have a Mustang driver and passenger seat from a Honda Valkyrie motorcycle. She said, "This was my husband, so no cost to me. Listed in December for $400 plus shipping. Sold for best offer of $330. Good for you, Ginger. You've been selling a lot of your husband's stuff, so does he know that? Or is he on board with that, or are you being a little sneaky Pete behind the scenes? Dina Napoli found this small bronze hinged box with my mom's stuff, so I have no cost into this. Noticed it had some markings on it, so I did a little research, and it's a desk stamp box from 1912. Made by artist Jessie M. Preston from Chicago, Illinois. She was a popular arts and crafts movement artist, and her metal artwork and jewelry is highly collectible and featured in many museums across the country. went on WorthPoint, and the last one sold in 2019 for $475 and has been sold by auction houses for $525. So went high on this piece and listed it for $650. Took a best offer of $500 within 24 hours. The gift of my mom's estate still keeps on giving me some incredible sales, and I'm very grateful. And a gold star for you, Dina, for continuing to work through her stuff, because last time you were on the podcast, you mentioned that you were working through storage units, and it was kind of overwhelming, but you're doing great. One thing at a time, and look what you walked away with here, $500. So I commend you on that. Okay, now we have Cheryl Henderhan. After several months of sending offers and receiving lowball offers telling me I had this overpriced, this razor sold yesterday for full asking price of $529.99. Trust your research. But that being said, I was second guessing mine. Hubby purchased a vintage watch display box with 2 razors at a local estate auction for $7, knowing sometimes we can sell these safety razors for $25 to $30. We had no idea this one was so valuable until we did the research. The watch box sold right away for around $35, and the other razor sold in our antique booth for around $10. Fun sale. This is a vintage 1960s Gillette F4 toggle handle safety razor. Sold for $529.99. Wow, congratulations, Cheryl. And we're going to end with Colleen Olson. When I was on the podcast in December of 2023, so that was episode 145. She and her son Tom were on the podcast, so make sure you check that out if you haven't. I recalled finding one of these and selling it for $1,000 in an auction years ago. This August, I was surprised to find 2 at a sale a few miles from my house. I gladly paid $400 for the pair. I was asking $2,400 each. Last week, I accepted an $1,800 offer, and then I listed the second one. I had a $1,980 offer in minutes. One went to Australia, the other to Malaysia. The item is a vintage 1985 Bell Magnum motorcycle helmet with visor and microphone. Wow, what a sale. Congratulations. Okay, that wraps up this edition of the eBay supersize sales of $100 or more. Maybe you learned something new by watching this. Keep posting those sales on the group, and I'll keep making these videos so everybody can learn more. Thank you for watching, and have a happy day on eBay. Bye, everybody.